Off top, I just found out that Chris Greer, the GM of the Dolphins, has a brother who's also a GM. The first and only black GM in NHL history, Mike Greer. Play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
Welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show, presented by Allstate. Throw your hands up. Everything is right in the world. Charlie Kravitz is back. I'm joined on a Sunday evening by Bill Barnwell. And the Commanders don't have any hope. But we'll get to that and make fun of Charlie later on in the show.
You can't hurt me. I was born in the darkness.
I don't want to hurt you. I'm the one who's trying to build up your
from Charlie spending a half hour preparing to dunk and then trying to stuff as many dunks. Like Charlie did the equivalent of like running onto the Papa-Shot court to dunk on the Papa-Shot rim on me 2 weeks ago.
We're on to 2026.
All right, Bill, hold on. Okay. Keep your bullets in the holster or wherever people keep bullets. We're going to come after Charlie later. We have to start with the most outrageous thing that we've seen, I think, this football weekend was this Broncos Giants at Broncos game was like the final quarter was ridiculous. The Broncos scored 33 points points in one quarter. Mm-hmm. The Giants only were able to muster a meager 13. There was a personal foul on the head coach. There were 3 lead changes in the final minute, 50 seconds. There was two ricochet touchdown passes in the fourth quarter by both teams. Like 2 missed extra points. This was a season's worth of nonsense happened in one game, and I don't know what the takeaway is.
Trying to think what the equivalent would be. It's sort of like seeing someone you love's browser history. Like you found out too much about these teams. There was just no matter what you feel about the Giants, about the Broncos, about Jackson Dart, about Bo Nix, you got something that confirmed your prior, and you got a little more than you bargained for in watching this game. And it just felt like I don't really know what to take away. Like, usually I feel like I have a strong opinion about it, but I'm just sort of overwhelmed by how much stuff I got in the fourth quarter of this game.
Yeah, I don't know that I have a strong new opinion. I think I was always a little bit hesitant, and so maybe this is about confirming priors, but a little hesitant to crown the Broncos in the way that people wanted to this season. So I think this game kind of allows me to say something that I feel like I've been wanting to say all season. I was like, it really ain't that good. Mm-hmm. You know, like they could beat anybody on any day because they have a really good defense, but like they really aren't that good. And then they had a fourth quarter that's like, oh my gosh, is Bo Nix the best quarterback who's ever strapped on a pair of cleats?
He's got like the diet Baker Mayfield thing where it feels like every fourth quarter he's in this situation where he's scrambling and throwing a seed when they need it most. But then the first 3.5 quarters, it's like, is this guy? I always think back to what Bill said in week 1. Sean Payton would drive Bo Nix to the airport if he had the chance to replace him with someone better.
I said
and
Drake
I'm watching
May,
the first,
by the way, in week 1. I feel good about
Drake
that
May
one now.
specifically. Yeah.
You
feel good about that one, do you?
Yeah.
You had to specify that you feel good about that one because we're going to get to your bad takes. Am I the only one that's dodging any bad takes from previous episodes?
You have plenty of bad takes.
I'm just saying this episode. Can I celebrate?
Jalen Hurts went 18 for 21. 300.
This is the bad take show. Or actually, my take's not bad. It just was wrong for one day. Relax, everybody.
All right.
Relax, everybody.
We're all really keyed up. We all missed each other. I'm really happy to see everyone.
Settle us down.
Settle it back.
Settle us down. Right.
For this game, it's so funny that you said it's like seeing browser history because like I know that Jackson Dart in the last 5 minutes of the game sort of down his leg. Like, I know that he had that interception. I know that final drive, he tried to give the ball twice. I also know that, like, you can't kink shame me for Jackson Dart. I'm into it. The rest of the game, the way he continued to fire that pigskin down the stretch and dive in for the touchdown, it is like, it's so fun what the Giants have going. And, like, I know it's
we
crazy.
We didn't get a Scatterboo day. We didn't get a Scatterboo day.
Well, he did truck someone a yard into the end zone around his touchdown for no apparent reason. He took a little extra head trauma for no good reason.
So this weekend, my son had his first bit of like adult food. He had a line and he like licked a lime a little bit.
Ooh.
And then you could tell he was like, he never had anything sour in his whole life. He's like, what is this? Like, it blew his mind that it was sour. And he didn't know whether it was the best thing he'd ever had in his life or the worst thing he'd ever had in his life. But he wanted to keep trying it to find out. And that is the Jackson Dart experience. I have to watch this man every drive. Is he going to throw the worst possible interception at the worst possible time? Am I going to be terrified to see what's downfield when he tosses the ball 40 yards downfield? Is he going to make one of the most incredible plays I've ever seen? Any of those are on the table. That is the Jackson Dart experience, baby.
They're on the table for the entire game. They're on the table for a series because the series that closed, or their final series where they took the lead, in that series, there were 2 plays where he bounced them off of the hands of Broncos defenders. There was also a 4th and 19 that he converted. And there was also that incredibly impressive touchdown run where he managed to keep his legs up and dove into the end zone. Like in the course of that one drive, it was the Lime, your first Lime experience.
Yeah.
And, so, I mean, I appreciate that about Jackson Dart, but I think if I'm leaving with a thought about either side, it's like, I still feel good about Jackson Dart, even though he kind of fell apart at the end of that game.
That's a young quarterback.
Right, but I think that there's something to be said for going to Denver and playing that well on the road against a good team.
Do you guys see the Sean Payton quote?
No.
Go for it.
That he went to John Mara and said that he was hoping they would turn to Jackson Dart after they played the Broncos. And that is obviously praise for Jackson Dart. Sean Payton knows a lot about quarterbacks. He's never going to get over how much he doesn't like Russell Wilson. And that was just sitting there with all
There was a moment in this game where, since it's a Jackson Dart start, every week Jackson Dart gets hurt and Russell Wilson starts warming up. I was mesmerized by the idea of Russell Wilson coming in against the Broncos and blowing this game. Would have been incredible, but Jackson Dart did not need Russell Wilson to pull that one off. By the way, you already mentioned on that final drive where the Broncos drive to win the game, Bo Nix was definitely throwing the ball to a different receiver on that first down play and hit Marvin Mims.
The one to Mims?
Yes.
Yeah, he was throwing to Sutton.
Yes.
Absolutely. They were sheepish to point that out on the broadcast. That was absolutely on the deep drag to Sutton.
Well, I will not, if you're not going to come around and tell me that pass interference call on my man Riley Moss was BS, I will not allow you to take any points away from Bo Nix. I don't care who he's throwing it to. It was perfect. You think that was a good call? Are you oohing like it's a good call?
Sean Payton even went onto the field to try and defend your favorite cornerback.
Because he has self-respect.
It's also because Sean Payton, more than anyone, that exact spot on the field, a bogus or missed pass interference call, stealing a game from him, it was got to be the most triggering. It cost him a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was. It was to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but if you listen to Cam Jordan's talked about it since, he's like, we were going to beat the brakes off of that Patriots team.
Yeah, they were. But
sure, why not?
Yeah. You were going to. I feel the same way about every championship game I lost. If we'd have won it, winning.
I mean, that one they kind of got stolen from.
Yeah, it did get stolen. I'm not knocking him.
I'm not a blame the refs guy. I'm genuinely not. But if we go back to 2017, that one's a blame the refs situation.
That one, everyone. I think even the refs have to accept. That was egregious. Yeah. They changed the rule that off season that you could review those plays, and then they changed it back.
Yeah,
because it would have been nice to have it right now because that was a bad call.
Yeah, but then you'd have Dean Blandino on the broadcast being like, "That was actually a great call by the official."
Get off my man, Dean.
Should we have a Broncos conversation? I know Domonique said they doesn't really believe in them. I feel like the Broncos defense, even though they did not play great in this game, is legitimate. And I think Bo Nix has proven this year,
definitely,
sort of like Jackson Dart, we don't know what we're getting. You might get a perfect quarter or a perfect half from Bo Nix, but you're not going to get 4 good quarters out of Bo Nix.
Can I take a 20? To be clear, the sentence that you just said is Bo Nix has proven that we don't know what we're going to get.
Yes, absolutely.
Is that something you can prove?
Oh, for sure. It made perfect sense to me.
I know Charlie's on the same page with me.
I was nodding along. I was like, someone described it perfectly.
Okay. All right. Well, we got Elway Bo in the fourth quarter, ripping those passes to the wrong person apparently, but also still making it work.
He made it work.
He's kind of fast.
Yeah, he was a good athlete.
That's like his touchdown run is you always forget he can really move.
It's a lot like Bo Nix.
Also,
like Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart and Bo Nix.
Remember last year, and I don't know if this is sort of a little exaggerated. Remember how the Hail Mary destroyed the Bears season? And from that point forward, they weren't the same team. I don't think you can crush the Giants. I don't think this will have any emotional impact on them whatsoever. No. They are too immune to like blowing a game. No, we don't know any better. We don't care. They're going to be fine. They're going to be the same sort of frustrating, sort of bad, maybe weirdly kind of good at times team, but this is not going to have an emotional impact on them.
Well, it's also like you had Cooper and Broncos players calling out Jackson Dart in the media before that game, and he's a rookie quarterback who could have crumbled against this good defense, and he went out and for large portions of the game looked great. Like I think if you're coaching that team and if you're that team, like you get it. You're here to like let it rip and be fun moving forward. So they're going to be erratic and interesting.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that their kicker, maybe the whole rest of the team, there won't be an emotional impact, but for the two missed extra points that a very important one at the end of the game that would have made it so that they at least had a shot at overtime. Maybe a little bit of emotional impact.
At least we know that. Cam Scadaboo has a short memory.
How do we know that?
Head trauma.
CTE jokes, love them. Can't miss them.
I think that's the end of the segment. Charlie's back, baby.
We missed them.
I love Cam Scadaboo. All right. Philadelphia 28, Minnesota 22.
Oh, you missed that. The score's back.
The score bug himself is back.
Did you just nickname yourself the score bug? You are the score
bug. Okay, so there had been so much talk about this Eagles offense, as much as as anything about getting these receivers going, getting the offense rolling again, and the running game didn't really work that well again today. But Jalen Hurts was 19 for 23, 326 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Did today show you that the Eagles should be a pass-first team for the rest of the season?
I guess. I mean, they don't run the ball well. They do pass they pass block well, and they have great receivers. I think more than be a pass first team, and maybe I'm being using semantics with the words, it's like I just appreciate a level of aggressiveness. They should be more aggressive offensively, which is what we always like pointed to, like throw on first downs early and like go for it when it's not 4th and inches. Like their first drive, they had a couple 4th downs where they went for it, and it works out because you're better. Like you're more talented than other people. At the end of the game, that pivotal play, the like slant and go to AJ Brown, was because they got back-to-back 0 blitzes and they failed on the first one. Then the second one's like, you're going to do this again? You think you can survive twice in 0 coverage against our receivers? So, like, I like that as a strategy going forward. And also, like, before I hand it off to Bill, I feel like I don't know what the proper way to go about doing this is because I don't think I owe Jalen Hurts a full apology. But, like, we should appreciate that Jalen Hurts, like, he had a day today.
Yeah.
He had a good day.
You get criticized before he look at perfect
game. Jalen Hurts.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that we need to criticize. We should celebrate him because he did the things that we told him to do.
The Jalen Hurts good day counter, according to Domonique Foxworth, just went from 0 to 1 with this performance. Nothing about Jalen Hurts' past that deserved more credit than Domonique Foxworth made it out to be.
What? Am I alone on this island?
Yeah.
Like, I thought he was really good today. So far this season, we have not had games where we could walk away saying, damn, that was good. Today, damn, that was good. He made the plays that needed to be made. He threw for 3 touchdowns and 300 plus 326, which I guess the counting stats don't matter as much, but like he made important plays on pivotal downs when they didn't have the support of the rushing attack that kind of carried that team last year. I think I'm giving a compliment. You're trying to turn it into an insult.
You're framing it as like, oh, this is the one time after he took my advice, after Jalen Hurts grinded the Domonique Foxworth show tape.
No. This is Bill gaslighting.
That's what you said.
I normally run.
That's what you said.
No,
Play the tape back.
I was saying that we have been hard on him all season long. And I was thinking that I could feel myself going to talking about everything else, but not talking about him specifically. Because after a bunch of their losses, we would talk about the offense and eventually get to him specifically and his shortcomings. He didn't have any today. And so I wanted to point out that today he had an awesome day. And I'd been saying that I think that this team may not be able to function without an effective rushing attack. He did it without that. And I was trying to celebrate him. You trying to gaslight me into some beef.
No. So you have already created the Jalen Hurts beef over several seasons. I think the comments on the Domonique Foxworth show YouTube channel will indicate as
that was
such.
on Get Up. That was on Get Up.
Oh, whatever.
I mean, I'm jealous. What do you want me to say? Like, he's a Super Bowl MVP and gorgeous. What do you want me to say?
Not saying you're wrong. Just saying
you want me to pretend like that it doesn't eat me up a little bit? Like, hey, he got everything.
Domonique did have an idea of being like, they need to get Sam Hartman as their backup and have him put him in the game and have him suck. And then it's like, that's the guy. That's the handsome guy.
Got to get Jimmy G back on the field. Anyway, go ahead, Bill. Say something about the football.
I was impressed with Jalen Hurts, but I still don't think this team has an identity. Remember,
I agree.
This was not like they came into this game and very clearly said, screw it. We're not running the football. We're chucking it. That's going to be our identity. They ran the ball, 4 straight times to start this game? Very clearly, their idea was, nope, it's a Saquon game this week, guys. We thought about it, had another multi-hour meeting, sat down, thought about what was good. It was Saquon. Lean into the Saquon. And then he averaged 2.4 yards a carry, and they abandoned it. And I think this was a sort of unique matchup in that you were playing a Vikings team that they're going to blitz a ton. They're going to give you a ton of one-on-ones when they do blitz. And so that's Jalen Hurts' answer to those blitzes is chucking up 50-50 ball, chucking up a fade, chucking up a double move. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just a high variance strategy. Remember last week, you go back to that Giants game, start of the third quarter, Jalen Hurts has Devontae Smith for an 80-yard touchdown, overthrows him by a yard. This game, he hits Devontae Smith for a 70-yard touchdown. I don't think it's an offensive philosophy shift. I just think it's a high variance strategy. Last week they didn't hit it. This week they did. Good for Jalen Hurts for hitting it, but I don't think they have any idea of what they're going to be doing well on a week-to-week basis still.
But that's what I think is so interesting because, there's the stat that Ian Hartitz tweeted out that last season Saquon had 17 carries a game, 20-plus yards. This year he has a NFL high 113 carries without a 20-yard gain. And what I think is interesting about all of this is, Bill, you're right. They want the running game to be their identity, and that's what's made them erratic. But what they should be, what's interesting about this and why this is the question is, do you think their identity should be just chucking it to their playmakers? Should be leaning into the fact that you have these two freakish wide receivers. You have 2 number 1 wide receivers, and say Hurts is definitely part of why they have been erratic week to week. That's not a criticism of him. Him and Barkley have been more up and down this year. But if you were building out how this team is going to be successful moving forward, Domonique, you've pointed out that it's really hard for NFL teams to be honest with who they are.
Yeah.
That in certain ways it can hold them back because it's really hard to be this personnel is not working this way. But if you're looking at this is clearly the most effective their offense has been this year.
To the point about the identity, them not having one up until this point. I think Charlie's arguing that they found it today.
Yeah,
or maybe they found it.
If they can be honest about it, that's
maybe
the thing. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think Bill's point is a valid one, is that's still a high variance strategy.
Fourth quarter against the Rams, too.
Yeah. I mean, that's still a high variance strategy, which is that's something that you do if you're not particularly good, is high variance strategy. If you're a talented team, the problem is the way that they are talented. And then it gets back to, this is what I didn't want to do. It gets back to the offense has to change to a way that if you're going to be a pass first offense, it has to be more than create one-on-ones and take these shots. And I think also saying that that's all he did today is not fair. He did have a couple plays where he scrambled and created time.
The 3rd and 13 play.
There was more than that. The problem is that's not a replicable strategy for any team unless you have one of the big top tier level quarterbacks to be hey, Josh Allen gonna figure it out. That's not an option for anyone who doesn't have Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar, and maybe a healthy Joe Burrow. But he has those receivers too. So and I guess Jalen has those receivers. So I think when we get into this conversation about what they should do going forward, it always, to me at least, it turns to a criticism, which I don't think it should be. They were awesome doing this today. Will they be able to live like this? I don't know.
I think it's interesting. In this game, they were under center 20 times against the Vikings, which is more than they had in any other game this season. That's clearly blocker heavy, and it still didn't work for Saquon on the ground against a team that's the 7th lowest EPA against the run in the Vikings defense in the NFL. So it's I know that there's way more to it. You're talking about just creating one-on-ones, but it's just also you do have these guys. You do have when you have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith on the field, you're going to have a considerable advantage against the guys that they're being covered by, and trying to exploit that if your running game's not working seems like the way to go.
Poor Isaiah Rodgers. Just, he lined up against AJ Brown in practice and he was I'm so happy I don't have to play this guy. And then he goes to the Vikings and he ends up one-on-one with him in a key spot and gets sluggoed into the ground Not ideal. The thing I mentioned a couple weeks ago, when you asked me, hey, what can we do to fix the Eagles? What would the change you make? What would be the thing you would do? I brought up Jalen Hurts being part of the quarterback run game. And
yeah,
they're not doing that. He had 4 carries for negative 10 yards in this game. He is not part of their rushing attack. And I think that's fine if that's not going to be the case, but that's limiting because he's really good and he creates some opportunities for your running back, creates some holes, changes the numbers for you. But if you're not going to do that, you don't need to be in the shotgun as much. You don't need to be in the pistol. You can run your under center, or under center passing game, under center run game, because Jalen Hurts is not going to be part of that offense. And so I think that's the evolution they have to be willing to accept. I just think the part that is being left out here and the part that's going to inevitably hang over this entire conversation is we all have memories. We remember what it was like last year. We remember how dominant this offense was last year, and they were dominant because of Saquon Barkley and because of that run game. And so while that's still the case, there's always going to be that part of the Eagles, that part of Nick Sirianni, the part of the fan base that thinks we can get back to that. We can be that offense again. Yeah. That's the best version of ourselves. Even if they have games like today where they were good on offense, this was still a relatively close game until the very, very, very end. And I think that's the part where, the Eagles have not been able to pull away and dominate teams this year. And that is, I think, what's going to come back to this rushing game and this offense is that they have to have that to be as dominant as they were a year ago. I don't know if that's true, but the fact that we saw it with our eyes last year makes me think that people are going to keep believing it until there's no alternative.
To Charlie's point, I think that being a chuck it down the field offense is like a more simplified way of, I think what you're saying is use the pass game to open up the run game.
Yeah.
And like in this situation, people recognize that, which is a very weird place to be when you have that level of receivers. People come into this game based on what the Eagles did last year, and the game plan is we are going to load the box and make them do what they don't want to do. They were poor in this game against loaded boxes, and they saw a good amount of them. I think it was 9 attempts against loaded boxes, which is more than, according to Next Gen Stats, they had 7 against neutral and 2 against light boxes. So they're going to get a bunch of those isolation situations on the outside. So I think you're right in saying that they should enter the game. We are going to attack that first. Because last year they were so good up front that you could load the box. It didn't matter.
On both sides, by the way. Because ball control, you were going to score in that defense.
Yeah. And you could load the box, and honestly, like them opponents loading the box made for more explosive plays. Because that's when you get those big plays, is when everybody is up there trying to stop you for a 2-yard gain and one person misses a tackle, you end up getting 80. So I think you're right. They need to attack the outside early and force teams to loosen up on the box, and it might give Saquon a better chance to succeed. But the losses to their offensive line have really impacted the way that their ability to run the ball this year.
They were the second most run-heavy offense last year in early downs, and that offense, they can't do that right now. And it's not like it's been 1 week. It's not like it's been a month. It's been the entire season. There's not been a good Saquon Barkley rushing game yet this year, and I don't think he's any different. We saw him hit an explosive in the passing game for a touchdown. I don't think it's like he's suddenly not fast or suddenly not explosive, but maybe last year was kind of like a dream best case scenario, and we can't count on that again. I just think it's going to be tough to leave that out and ignore that as the best version of this offense and not chase that, given how high the expectations are for this team.
It's so weird. I just went and I assumed that I would see something different, but I guess it takes teams longer to adjust than I thought. But I looked at their stats from the regular season last year, and they saw a loaded box on only 20% of the time. They were against neutral boxes for Saquon, more against neutral boxes, and more than that against light boxes for Saquon last year, which is a really surprising stat to me, as I would have assumed people would have learned pretty quickly. It's funny to see that in this particular game, that and I guess I'll see for the whole season.
You know how stupid these defensive coordinators are, Domonique. Come on.
Hey, you stop it. Yeah, this year, so it's like 30-30-30, 33-33-33 this year for loaded, stacked, and neutral boxes. That's so weird that it took them so long to figure that out. And this year, they're definitely like, hey, you guys will have to throw it and prove to me that you can.
All right, next game.
I got too much in the stats. We lost Charlie. We lost Charlie.
It's good podcasting to hear you sort your true media stats live on air.
You think that I think is good? I'm recognizing that we lost you there. Like, I imagined you hey, audience.
We didn't even talk about Carson Wentz once that entire segment.
Who?
All right, Colts versus Bolts. Indianapolis 38, LA Chargers 24. So we were talking about this game a little bit before the podcast, and I think it's a really interesting thing. I think we all agree our expectations have shifted for what we think the Colts are. They're a good football team, but in our reevaluation of them, for you guys, what has changed more? What do you think of their ceiling or their floor?
I mean, I think it's the ceiling, clearly, for me. I was high on them before the season started, but I got to be honest, I didn't think that, like, they would be pulling away from, like, the Bills and the Ravens, and I think they kind of have. This offense is incredible, and most importantly, it's incredible early, which I think takes pressure off their defense, which is growing and improving, but it's been not nearly as impressive as their offense, and I think that's what's been so shocking to me is how Jonathan Taylor can run against any situation. I'm looking him up. I'm looking up his stacked box numbers as soon as Bill starts talking. And Daniel Jones has been excellent. I think he's even been above my theory before the season started was like they have a good offensive line, they have a good running attack, they have all the weapons that you need, and Daniel Jones will be good enough to operate this offense. He's been better than that.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor averaging a whole 3.3 yards per carry against stacked boxes this year. Thankfully,
nicely done.
Thankfully, he's got Daniel Jones, and so he doesn't see that many stacked boxes. Both have changed, right? Like I didn't think this was going to be a good team, let alone one of the best teams in the AFC, and that clearly was wrong. That clearly has changed dramatically. And I think what was so fascinating and really like sort of reinforced it for me watching this game is just how explosive the Colts were drive after drive, where the Chargers with Justin Herbert, the quarterback who all the nerds love, myself included, he's the, like this explosive downfield attacking quarterback. It felt like they had to struggle for every first down and every yard and had to hit play after play after play. And the Colts would come on the field and like march 60 yards in 3 plays like it was nothing. Like guys were just wide open, snap after snap after snap. And certainly Tyler Warren has been awesome. I think how they're using Tyler Warren is incredible and all the ways they're getting the most out of him. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor has been excellent. Obviously, the offensive line is playing really well and much healthier than the Chargers' offensive line. But this is like all the excuses you would have are gone now. Like this wasn't 1 week against the Dolphins, who have maybe the worst defense in football. This is not against a bad defense. The Chargers defense is supposed to be really good. It's not against a team that, you're playing from ahead. The Colts have done it playing from behind. They've done it against the Broncos. They've done it against, everyone they've played this year. There really has not been, outside of maybe one like middling week, there has not been any fall back to earth. And the thing about Daniel Jones, the thing that always held him back, the thing that always caused him to struggle was how often he took sacks and how often he got hit. And his sack rate is down. He's getting rid of the ball quickly. He's making smart decisions. There's been a little bit of like Daniel Jones magic happening where he just like will duck and two defenders will run into each other and then he'll just run forward like, a building just fell and he was in the little hole in the middle. But like he's been doing this week after week. At this point, I know it's only been 7 weeks, but we're not talking about a couple games here. We're talking about 2 months of football, and he's been the best or the second best quarterback in football for 2 months. That's a lot of football.
I'm sorry to rush us off of this, but I guess this isn't a full rush off. But like this game was a game that happened, but I think we all expected the Colts to win week after week. But as high as I would say that the ceiling now is for the Colts, at least to me, the Chiefs won 31-0 this week, and I think.
Whoa!
What?
Are we gonna go to the Chiefs now?
I wanted to.
All right, then fine. Then put your hands up.
Oh, throw them up.
This is the Good Hands plays presented by Allstate. You are in good hands when Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback and he has competent wide receivers to throw to. They won 31-0 against the Raiders. Who
scoreboard?
I mean, was it fair to call that a surrender? They let them kneel out the game with 3 minutes left.
That's the most disrespectful thing since last week when Rico Dowdle said buckle up and then came in there and ran for 180 on his former team. This was ridiculous. I understand that maybe the Chiefs, so for everyone, the Chiefs took out their starters at the end of the third quarter and then with 3 minutes left decided to start kneeling. And the Raiders didn't call timeout or anything to slow it down, which would have been ridiculous. But I mean, that just feels so. just run the plays.
It felt
man.
like a high school game.
If you're gonna score 38, score 38. Then don't kneel it out on me with 3 minutes to go. It's like a slap in my
this
face.
Was Pete Carroll, the dude who's like his mantra more than anybody else in football is we got to be competitive. Competition. Every job's up for grabs. We're fighting until the last whistle. I know every coach does that, but he does it more than anybody else. And even he,
no. I agree.
Even he was like, no. We are good. We're moving on. We're going back to Vegas. We can still be back for the, the buffet tonight. If we end the game now. The Raiders ran in this game the second fewest amount of plays in the history of the National Football League. They ran 30 plays in this game. The Chiefs scored 31 points. They had 30 first downs. The Raiders had 3 first downs. I believe
three,
the fewest in 15 years? This was one of the more dominant performances you will ever see by an NFL team.
They also had the play where it was 4th and 1 and Mahomes pretended, and he was picked up on the hot mic, where he was doing the thing where he did the fake, like try and draw him off sides. He's like, this never works. This never bleeping works. And then he ran the play after the Raiders like calmed down, thinking he was going to take the timeout. Like it was so disrespectful. They went into their bag of tricks as they were unleashing this offense, which seeing this team with Rashee Rice and seeing the passing game working, like it honestly, like I haven't felt this excited about a Chiefs team in 3+ years. It's so much more. It's so fun. You forget how fun it is to watch Patrick Mahomes in full flight with people who are competent around him.
So I didn't know the 30 play stat. So to be clear, the Chiefs scored more points than the Raiders ran plays, not even successful plays. Like if they got a point for every play that they ran on offense, they would have still lost to the Chiefs.
The Chiefs had as many first downs as the Raiders did plays in the entire game.
Sort that in your True Media spreadsheet.
Now am I part of the ilk?
Yo,
I'm joining Bill's ilk.
You always been in the ilk.
I'm happy to
didn't realize it.
Your ilk just got cooler, baby. The Chiefs, they feel kind of scary, and the offense also feels very fun again. Mm-hmm. I do feel, I know you're not a sympathy guy. I feel a little bad for the Colts. I feel a little bad for Baker Mayfield, which is another conversation. Feels like your MVP just went up in smoke because Patty got his eye on it. He's already the front runner. He got his eye on it. He about to score 3 touchdowns a game for the rest of the year.
I don't know. I sent Domonique this clip, Bill. Have you seen the clip of Coward from when Baker got benched on the Panthers saying, I'm gonna talk now as Baker's agent. It's time to hang it up.
No.
Go become a college football analyst. You'll make 7 figures. You can be on the desk of game day. It's hard to feel bad for Baker.
Go be a family man, he said.
But like it's hard to feel bad because now he's got like the ultimate comeuppance on everyone, and he's incredible. But no, I mean
he's doing well. But that MVP dream.
Well, so the MVP. I mean, I think we talked about this a week ago. It feels like Mahomes is gonna come back and run away with all that stuff. There's obviously a lot of season, but when you talk about the Colts, I mean, the reason I do think the Chiefs have shown they have the highest ceiling of anyone in the NFL. But what's interesting about that with the Colts in that second tier, if we're separating the Chiefs from them, is we thought that the bad game, like so say Daniel Jones has a bad game or like a below average game, they could get in a playoff game and get rolled by the Ravens who sneak in or something like that. It feels like that floor is so much higher and they could actually be in these competitive situations with the top of the AFC and the top of the NFC. And that's what I think is interesting with them and the Chiefs in any of these games.
I mean, I don't know that I completely agree with you. I think what I agree with you on is they're less likely to hit that floor. Mm-hmm. So but I don't think they don't have the defense. I would say they definitely have the running game, but I feel like the floor is kind of determined by how long the defense can keep you in the game. So we haven't seen their floor and maybe their offensive floor, and maybe we won't. But I think more than their floor being raised, it just felt like their ceiling got raised to me.
Still, I'm not entirely sure who we're talking about. We're talking about the Colts or the Chiefs at this point.
Talking about the Colts.
Okay. I cut back to the Colts because
And
we
you
went to
clearly
feel
said,
bad for the Colts.
Before you cut back to the Colts, you said, let's take it back to the Colts, but he doesn't listen to us.
No, it was confusing. We don't normally go from one game to the next, and we just jump to the Chiefs and then back for the. But Dominique wanted to lump them together because they're the two top teams in the AFC.
Throw me under the bus. It's cool.
Here's the difference, though,
it's explaining
right?
your rationale.
Like if I told you before the year, okay, the Colts are going to win the AFC South, you'd be like, okay, whatever. And if I told you the Colts are going to play the Chiefs in the postseason, you would assume the Chiefs are going to win by 30. And now that's changed. Like, you would still probably pick the Colts. I think I would pick the Colts. I think even Domonique, head cheerleader for the Indianapolis Colts, would pick the Colts. I think Jeff Saturday would probably pick the Chiefs. But it would feel competitive because we have not seen the Colts get dominated this year. We've seen them be consistently better or significantly better than their competition. They've been more consistent than the Chiefs have been, even with Xavier Worthy back in the fold.
Honestly, moving forward, you could tell me anyone's going to get beaten by 30 by the Chiefs. And I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
It does feel like that.
They were done on the show 5 weeks ago, Charlie.
Yeah, well.
A lot can change in 5 weeks.
It's the thing is the credibility that the Chiefs carry with them just from being the Chiefs is like all we need is a couple weeks of it looking like this, and then we're all fully back on the bandwagon. Even when it looked bad, we were like, they're still a Chiefs. Like all of last year, we were like, hey, you're winning, but you're not that good, but it's still a Chiefs. We all were still scared to like throw them out. Now they look like the Chiefs, the fun Chiefs. Like, yeah, it doesn't take much, and they've done it for a number of weeks in a row. Yeah, it doesn't take much for us to get completely back on the Chiefs bandwagon, which I feel like most people are.
So this team lost to the Jags 2 weeks ago. And you guys are totally like, I feel like you guys flipped me. 5 weeks ago, I was like, well, they're going to be fine once they get the receivers back. And you guys were in a panic. And now I'm saying, I think they're the best team in the AFC, but I don't think they're like blowing away the competition. And you guys are just like, nope, they're winning by 30 from this point forward.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that Charlie was being hyperbolic. Like, obviously, I don't think that they could beat anybody by 30. The Raiders are a particularly bad football team and have been all season long. I do think that I would not pick against them in a single game, like a game for the rest of the year against any team in football. Whereas a few weeks ago, I would have picked against them in a number of games and did pick against them in a number of games. It's different, though.
Dominique, do you know who the Chiefs play next week?
Oh, yeah.
Who that is?
Monday Night Football in Arrowhead against Marcus Mariota and Robbie Chosen and 3 practice squad wide receivers and the Washington Commanders.
Monday Night Football. It's going to be a standalone. We're going to have so much focus on that.
It's going to be so bad, dude. It's going to be so bad. The defense, I mean, Bill, you don't even want to know my text. Bill, I'm certain that Domonique right now could leave this studio and be a better cornerback than Marshawn Lattimore for the Commanders. I don't care if that's just, I know it to be true. Until he got injured, I know it to be true.
It is not true. I would get injured.
Wouldn't get beat deep.
I wouldn't get beat deep. I give you that. But everything else, it would be a problem. I would not. But anyway, that aside, I guess we're transitioning. So I'm going to step out the way because I feel like Bill has some things that he wants to tell you about your Commanders team.
Charlie, 2 weeks ago, you came on this very show and you could not even wait. You were haranguing me from before the show started. You were so excited. There was a haranguing.
It was some haranguing.
I don't get harangued that often. I'm a grown man. No one. I don't go to the grocery store, get harangued by anybody. I come on the Domonique Foxworth show. Someone harangues me. I think, okay. And Charlie, I said
apologies.
Charlie, I didn't criticize you. I didn't say. I just said, Charlie, are you sure you want to do this to yourself? Because you did it earlier in the year after week 1 against the Giants, and Jaden Daniels immediately got hurt, and Terry McLaurin got hurt. What happened, Charlie?
I had a statement 2 weeks ago where I said, I fear we might be a wagon. I have an updated statement. I fear the wagon's wheels have come undone.
Oh, you couldn't even nail the take. Wheels don't come undone. They come off. They don't come undone.
They've come undone.
They've disintegrated.
Here's the thing is like, I am back in my happy place of being a
I would not allow.
It's who I am, deep to my core.
I would not allow this.
I can't deserve good things. I don't even know how to act normally. I harangue Bill. Some good thing happens to me, and I harangue.
You don't get to pretend like you're excited that your team stinks again.
I'm not excited. I'm sad. I'm just saying it's what I deserve. It's who I am.
No, not anymore. Not since. Remember what happened to Jaden Daniels' changed your life.
He's still awesome.
He changed your life.
He's injured. I would give him my hamstring.
There was life before when you were a loser. Then he showed up. He changed your life.
Well,
you're not a loser anymore.
No, I'm still a loser.
No.
Until further notice.
No, he's still here. He's still good.
No, he's awesome. And like it's this weird thing. Like I feel like a ton of people were concerned going into the draft about the amount of hits he takes, of the potential for injury. I think we were thinking the injuries would be different than this. These are like pile up, knee sprain, hamstring injuries. And there's something that obviously needs to be changed in his play style to not get hit as much. But it's also like, these are not career altering in who I think Jaden Daniels is. I think he's awesome. I think that if he gets healthy down the stretch and he's playing with competent receivers, the offense is going to look a lot better. But the defense was so bad. And they played a Cowboys offense, which, not to pivot away from me being a loser, but we can sit in that as much as we want. They played a Cowboys offense, obviously scored 44 points in this game, but they have looked awesome. They've looked like maybe the best offense in the NFC, and that begs the question. This is a team that traded Micah Parsons before the season. It seemed like they were going to have a rebuild year, but now CeeDee Lamb's healthy. Pickens is awesome. Yeah. It looks like they have 2 number 1 receivers. How do they handle the rest of the season? What do you think of this team, Bill?
The offense is legit. I mean, for all the jokes, you, I, Domonique, literally anyone else who pays attention to the NFL had about Brian Schottenheimer, dude might know a thing or two about how to run an offense, because this offense is incredible on a week-to-week basis. And think about what they're getting out of guys we knew from other places. George Pickens looks infinitely better with the Cowboys than he did with the Pittsburgh Steelers, when he was supposed to be basically unusable without Mike Tomlin steering him on the path towards virtuousness. Javonte Williams, who was a mess with the Broncos, who got benched last year, seemingly for stretches, is like significantly better than Saquon Barkley this year. Like, he has been the best running back in the NFC. Maybe Kemp Scatterbo. The second best running back in the NFC. No, he's been incredible this season. With that Cowboys line that's been banged up with injuries. Jake Ferguson has been great. Our old pal Dak has been wildly impressive. He's not going MVP because their defense is truly horrific and an abomination on God. But Dak is playing. Dak is this year's Joe Burrow, where you look at him and think, "Oh my God, if this guy had a defense, he'd be an MVP candidate." And that's not how people necessarily think of Dak. Not on this show, because we respect and honor Dak Prescott on this show. But this Cowboys offense is legit, and every week. They've been doing this without CeeDee Lamb for stretches. Now you get CeeDee Lamb back and you get that explosiveness you saw on the 1 touchdown in this game, where I don't want to say who maybe blew a coverage or maybe got too aggressive playing 2 invert, but his name rhymes with Nashan Martimore. It's just really impressive to watch. And like the Colts and Daniel Jones, it's happening week after week after week. So you have to believe it.
Yeah, the problem is with the question that you originally asked is like, how do you handle the rest of the season?
I know the question.
And no, I wasn't.
Trade for Trey Hendrickson.
You did a great job. Good job. And congratulations to you and your ilk for predicting the regression for the Commanders. But,
I hate it so much. All of the regression people being like, get ready for a bad season. They're all completely right. I hate it so much.
Back to the Cowboys, though. I don't know how to answer that question, because it's like, what can you do when your defense is so bad? It's clear that the defense is the problem. You have Eberflus, who plays a specific style of defense, and it's not working. It hasn't really worked since he was in Indianapolis, or at least consistently enough, because like that, I feel like that requires a front that can be like dominant. They don't have that. So you would say like, we're going to trade to fix our front 4 or something, but like, who's out there to get? And this is a bad time to have this question when Micah Parsons is coming off a 3-sack game and you traded him away. But that at least was the start of something. And even if you were able to get Micah Parsons back, I don't think that makes this defense. If they're 31st now, I think by EPA, adding Micah Parsons, highest level of Micah Parsons, maybe it takes you to 20th. You're still really bad at defense.
The only thing you can do is just hope you're going to stack turnovers. And that's just the only way you're going to, your defense is going to suck.
Split.
But at least you might get a couple games. Maybe you're just jumping a lot of routes. Maybe you're just playing a lot of palms and you're just trying to lure some people into some stuff. Dron Bland got a pick 6 in this game. Like, we know he can do it. We know Trevon Diggs has done it in the past, but I wonder if you're just like sort of going the Aaron Glenn route with the Lions last year, and you're just loading up, you're blitzing a ton more, you're leaning into being more aggressive. And you know what? If we get into a 54, 51 shootout every week, we got a quarterback and a playmaker who can do that. So maybe just leaning into that style is the way you kind of do this. But it does feel like, unfortunately, even this like kind of limited version of the Eagles is still better than the Cowboys.
Well, so my question is like, if they were the 20th best defense with how good the offense is that good enough in this flawed NFC?
It doesn't feel like it, but I mean, I guess maybe. I think the fact of the matter, they are 3-3 right now is better than I would have thought they would be with the defense as bad as this defense has been. So like that's a surprise to me. So I guess maybe who knows how good their offense can play, but that is, I guess. That's a way to approach the game. Is like, we know we're going to give up points. Let's get our offense back on the field as quickly as possible. We'll play high pressure defense, and we'll either give up a quick touchdown or we'll get a turnover and manage to force a punt because we're playing such like volatile football with our blitz sliders and everything. And that, I mean, that's the strategy that Bill is suggesting is like, just be aggressive or jumping routes, like whatever. You're probably going to get scored on.
Yeah.
So you might as well try to steal one before that happens.
So I need to ask about Pickens really quick on this.
He's good.
Okay, he's very good. He's on pace for 1,500 yards this season.
Oof.
And it feels, there's a tiny bit of it that feels Jason Higginsy with him and CeeDee Lamb. But you saved some money by not paying Parsons that deal. How quickly do you try and lock up Pickens and keep him with this nucleus?
That's tough.
He's an erratic.
Still scared. I'm still terrified. I know Dominique's least favorite thing is the franchise tag. This is why God invented the franchise tag.
First of all, God had nothing to do with the franchise tag. Bill Barnwell, God was nowhere to be found when that was concocted. Fair. However, I don't know. Like, you have good players. I want to sign him. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's a good player. Sign him.
Also, I guess to be fair, it's not like Jerry Jones can be like, oh, well, we're not going to, a combustible sword at wide receiver. We could never play that kind of play for our team. No, I mean, they've done it before.
And he'll sign him the first day of the season next year.
And it's like, to me, at least, it's like the Micah Parsons situation kind of all over again. Because, like, maybe you trade for a player like this if you're making a championship run and you do one and done with him. But they're obviously not in a championship run. So they traded for a player like this, hoping he turned into the player that he's turned into. The idea of trading for him and not making a Super Bowl run and then letting him go somewhere else, I guess if he costs too much, that's a reasonable decision to make since you already paid CeeDee Lamb. But it seems like maybe you should have never traded for him if you were not intending on keeping him long term.
So we started this conversation talking about how great he is and how great of an addition he's been for the Cowboys, and we ended it with Dominique saying, you should have traded for him in the first place.
No, I said you are really. This is low-level gaslighting. You're a better gaslighter than this. Today, your gaslight moves have been entirely too obvious.
Literally the words you said. Almost word for word.
I was clearly saying that, yes, you pay him, because why would you trade for a guy like this and then he do the things that you want him to do and then you let him go somewhere else? Bad gaslighting, poor gaslighting. You're showing blitz and you're blitzing.
I wish I could interject and take a side on this, but the second I know I asked the question. The second Dominique starts talking about paying people, I just start spacing out and looking towards transitioning to the next topic, which is what I'm going to do right now.
Never want players to get paid. Just mad because Terry's hurt.
Sorting the filters.
I texted Dominique during the Commanders game. I'm so pro management right now.
You know what he got? No response.
No response. Packers 27, Cardinals 23. This is Micah Parsons had the aforementioned 3 sacks, but the Packers stuck by. This is the team that declared they'd be undefeated after 2 weeks this season. And I have a very simple question. Are we sure they're good?
I mean, of course they're good. They won this game.
Oh, congratulations.
Maybe the Cardinals are better than you think.
They are with Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah.
They play on time.
Yeah. I think the Packers they aren't quite living up to the promise of all of their players. And honestly, like, I thought that the sacks would pick up because they're like, pressure to sack ratio has been out of whack. Those picked up. I assume that you would get some more turnovers, and I assume that once these things started to turn, they would start really being the team, because they aren't bad. And they are in Golden stepping up at receiver. They're showing all the traits of a team that you think should be doing what the Colts are doing right now. They're just not doing it. And honestly, it doesn't really make complete sense to me.
Well, they're just something less than the sum of their parts, right? You can look at every spot in their roster outside of maybe cornerback and be like, man, this team should be great. They got great players. They got Pro Bowl caliber players. In some cases, all pro caliber players. We've seen Jordan Love be an MVP candidate for half a season. We've seen Josh Jacobs rack up a ton of yardage. We've seen all these receivers make big plays. The offensive line is one of the deepest in the league on paper. They got Micah. They got Rashawn Gary. They got 7 first-rounders on defense. They got Xavier McKinney, was an all-pro last year. They have all these pieces that should add up to a best team in football kind of scenario. And for 2 weeks, we saw that early in the season. But I think that was more of a mirage than we made it out to be. And I think it's not that they're not talented, but they look like a team that maybe, say, traded for a franchise altering superstar player 2 weeks before the season, and then kind of had to figure out how to make that work with no training camp and no preseason and no time to figure out how that was actually going to work until the last possible second. And I know just kind of sticking Micah in the defense is going to make it better, but they just don't look consistent and refined on either side of the football right now. They make big plays. They have really talented players, but that drive to drive consistency, oh no, this is how we're going to play defense. This is how we're going to shut you down. This is how we're going to, what our identity is going to be on offense. It's not there. And so you have a team of heroes playing hero ball, which is fine because you have a lot of really talented heroes, but it's just not the sort of team wide, we can be the best team in football on a weekly basis thing that they showed the first 2 weeks of the year.
They got 6 sacks this week, right? So I guess that's the thing that I have a hard time reconciling, Bill, because your argument is a fair one. Is they dropped in this superstar with no training camp and they couldn't necessarily make it work. It worked today, and they still barely beat a Cardinals team.
It's also Micah seemingly wins.
Yeah, it seems
I feel by the end of the season, all of you saw stats before this week. People were being "Oh, look at this trade. He's got a certain amount of tackles for loss and sacks." He's gonna end the season. He's one of, if not the most destructive pass rusher in the NFL. It's him and Myles Garrett.
He's great. He's
incredible.
When you watch the Cowboys the past couple of years when Micah was on the field, and Domonique knows, it's everything they did on defense was predicated on how are you protecting against Micah? How are you building your protection against Micah? How are we doing that? And then what can we do to inform the rest of our pass defense? What can we do to inform the rest of our run defense? How can we know you're going to have to deal with this guy? It doesn't really feel like that's the case with the Packers yet on a consistent basis. It feels kind of they just dropped him in wherever the edge spot he was going to be, and he's great, but it doesn't feel like they're getting the max out of what Micah Parsons can do.
Well, what about the offense? They haven't scored 30 points yet in any of their 4 wins this year. They got a bunch of receivers wearing goofy Guardian caps that don't scare you.
Charlie, Charlie anti-brain health Kravitz.
Come on. If you saw him line up against you, you're much less intimidated with the Guardian cap, Dominique. Don't even pretend you're not. You're get that goofy thing off your head.
Golden's good. He's falling.
Yeah,
falling right now. He's and they were aggressive early, also going for it on 4th downs, converting one and missing another.
And by the way, on Matthew Golden, he is very good.
Yeah,
he had 3 targets and caught all of them on the opening drive.
Yeah,
one more catch the rest of the game. It was clear that was clear part of the script.
Right. I forgot exactly where you're going once you started making fun of Guardian caps.
Right. What about the offense is the question.
That's the thing is I think it's Bill's point. It's the individual parts. You can even look at a lot of their individual statistics and feel really confident about their offense. And you put it all together and it doesn't turn out this particular game. You can't really their offense didn't convert on very many 3rd downs, and their offense wasn't as effective. But a lot of their games, they move the ball and they even do well in the red zone. But they don't get to the red zone. It's a weird thing with this situation, which is why I'm prone to feel sooner or later they're going to be good. Sooner or not good. Sooner or later it's all going to come together and they're going to be the team that we expect them to be. And I thought this is why this game is shocking to me is I thought it was when Micah will start having the game changing impact plays. And on a day when he had 3 sacks, I would think that they would get a lot more short fields. They'd score more points, and it just doesn't add up to that.
The problem is, this is, at least last year, I don't know where they are this year, but they were the most run-heavy team in football last year on neutral downs. Like, they leaned more into the run than the Ravens, than the Eagles. Like, and I think this is sort of the same problem we're seeing with the Eagles, in that their run game is just not as good this year. It's just not as effective. It's not as explosive. And so when the thing you rely upon, the thing you build your offense around isn't working, you have to find another identity. And we're all thinking Jordan Love can be that guy, or at least, I don't know, I'm thinking Jordan Love can be that guy. We've seen him be that guy for stretches, but I don't know if they want him throwing the ball around 45 times a game. I don't know if he would be particularly good doing that. I don't know if they have the tackles to pull that off. And I just think, like, they have to figure out what can sort of our core identity be on offense, because like you said, Domonique, like, they have players with good numbers. They have players who rip up big plays, but you just kind of feel like in certain spots they look great, and then in other drives they look completely hopeless against a Cardinals defense that I think kind of stinks, unfortunately, because I was pretty high on them before the year.
All right, let's move to Rams, Jaguars, Rams 35, Jaguars 7. Before we get into this topic,
London.
I have a clip to play, because we were told to revisit this clip in 6 weeks, but the Jaguars are on bye next week, so we won't get to talk about it after week 6. Can we play this clip? In a vacuum, for the rest of 2025, who would you rather have, Daniel Jones or Trevor Lawrence, Bill?
It is going to be Trevor Lawrence. Clip this. Let's play it again in 6 weeks, and Charlie will be embarrassed for having asked me that question. Yeah. That's where we're going to be in 6 weeks with Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones.
I don't embarrass that easily.
Revenge of Charlie.
I'm so back.
You know what? You know what that doesn't do? Doesn't bring your quarterback back.
That's a good.
It was funny. We embarrassed Bill. Gotcha, Bill. However,
you told me to play it in 6 weeks.
Your team still stinks.
I see.
Your team still can't stop nobody.
This is my fault. I should have said a long enough time span that Charlie would have forgotten about the clip. But I said it's 6 weeks, and his memory is still strong. I mean, sure wish the Jaguars had Daniel Jones right about now, don't you?
Yeah, that Jag situation is.
How do we explain this? How do we, like, a couple weeks ago, we talked about this coming off the Chiefs game. We're like, this is. The AFC South is so interesting. Like, this team is really putting it together. It seemed like the Hunter breakout game, and like, he was good again today, but it felt like they were building towards something. Now Brian Thomas can't catch. The team feels like the defense, which was already turnover dependent, isn't what we thought it was going to be. And how do you explain this collapse of a team that we thought was going to be really good just 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, I think you already explained it. Like, you just explained it. Their number one receiver has a problem catching the ball. Their quarterback has not lived up to the potential. Their defense was predicated on, or the success of their defense was largely like fueled by turnover rates that weren't going to consistently be produced. And like, the hope was that they would steal these wins early, but the offense would become a better version of itself. And they haven't. They just still been pretty bad. And it's like, we can think Brian Thomas Jr. is going to get a lot of attention because the drops are so big, but their running game wasn't there the way that it's been. And also, like, Trevor been doing this Trevor thing since he's been there, man. And it's never really been consistent.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say that comment was more like a dismissal of Daniel Jones than a defense of Trevor Lawrence.
Endorsement.
Which is, frankly, even more wrong than framing it the other way, because Daniel Jones has been incredible and Trevor Lawrence has just kind of been the same Trevor Lawrence. But you mentioned the defensive turnovers, and not only is that creating great plays for the defense, also giving the offense short fields. And the offense has not had those short fields the past couple of weeks. And throughout this entire year, I mean, from week 1, this offense has been incredibly sloppy under Liam Cohen. Like, they have been too many delayed game penalties, too many false starts, too many illegal shifts, too many plays where guys are running their routes to the wrong depths. Like, this has not been, to pick an offense, the Bears, where it feels like, oh no, they are making strides from week to week. They're not perfect. They're still making mistakes, but it does feel like they're getting more efficient. They're being more particular and more deliberate, more intentional about the stuff they're running. The Jaguars feel like, and again, I keep comparing teams to the Eagles, but it does feel like there's sort of an Eagles thing to this. Just, oh no, like we have two really talented dudes on the outside. We have a running back we think really highly of. We have a quarterback who we think is great. We're just going to out-talent you. And that has not worked. They have not been efficient. And when you don't have those short fields and you're dropping some of the explosives and you have to march 10 yards at a time downfield, when you're committing those shifts, when you're taking sacks, when you're being sloppy, you can't do that consistently.
I mean, honestly, I don't got much more on the Jags. I've discussed it with them. I think that it's funny that I am generally like, it's just a little bit frustrating because they're so talented and so fun. And like, I want Trevor or Travis Hunter, not Trevor Lawrence. I want Travis Hunter to be awesome and be in important games and big situations, and that feels further away than it did at the beginning of the year when there was hope and interest and intrigue, and they had that Monday night win over the Chiefs, which wasn't that long ago, where it also felt like the breakout game kind of for Travis Hunter, and like that to me is, disgust is the wrong word, but like it's a little bit disappointing. Even though I never was super high on them, like it was exciting to think that they had a little runway to have some fun and be around later, and it feels less likely, especially when you lose 35-7.
Yeah.
But like I also don't. I mean, we should be talking about how impressive the Rams were
without Puka Nacua and Stafford. Like Stafford and Devontae are incredible. I mean, obviously the defense is too.
Devontae had the honorary Jerome Bettis mid-30s receiver line in this game, 5 for 35 and 3 touchdowns. I respect it.
Yeah, played him in fantasy.
That is good. Yeah. The Rams, I mean, early in the season, I think the Rams were a team that we were like, hey, as long as Matt Stafford can stay healthy, they'll be competitive, and that D-line is still there. So we'll be looking forward to them. It's what Dak Prescott is doing also, is like airing it out and putting out highlight films every week, almost every week for the Rams. They struggled a couple of times. But yeah, this team is fun and interesting and exciting. I'm not sure that they're 35-7 good against most teams, but it was fun watching Matt Stafford pick them apart, as he's been doing for a lot of teams.
What was the cognitive test that got kind of like trashed after it got used to knock CJ Stroud, and then turned out CJ Stroud was really good?
P2?
Whatever that was? Whatever the Airstream was, Matthew Stafford is in before the year, that's the opposite of that cognitive test. Apparently, whatever that was in that Airstream turned Matthew Stafford into like 28-year-old Matt Stafford on a weekly basis.
The S2 test.
S2.
Sorry, I don't know. I said P2.
This is the
Nice
2S.
job.
This is the 2S Airstream for Matthew Stafford. It's been incredible. I mean, he's missed some throws here and there. He's had some, a couple patches where it hasn't been great, but like, you wouldn't know he was dealing with like what was supposedly a serious injury the entire offseason into training camp. Like, he looks totally fine on the weekly basis.
It's the most Matt Stafford thing. If he's not dealing with like a potentially debilitating injury, he can't ball out like this. All right. Cleveland 31, Miami 6. Oh. Who's most responsible for the Miami Dolphins being this bad?
I don't know.
Your choices are Chris Greer, Mike McDaniel, and Tua Tagovailoa.
I mean, I don't know.
Stephen Ross isn't selling the team, so I'm not including him.
He can still be most responsible.
He's definitely most responsible.
I don't think anybody's going to pick an individual person as most responsible. I don't know. I mean, maybe Bill's going to feel... Bill, you feel like picking somebody as most responsible? Like, it's so hard because every time I think of someone, it's like there's another reason. Because, like, you could point to the fact that this Mike McDaniel's offensive guru only mustered a couple field goals today. But then you're like, hey, the defense really bad, which then takes you to Chris Greer and the roster management, and he's been there past for multiple coaches, so you're like, hey, this is kind of falls on you. And then Tua just kept giving the ball away, and also like throwing his teammates under the bus in the media. Like, it's hard for me to pick anybody. I would say
all of the above. It's D, all the above.
I mean, I don't think it's Tua, honestly. Like, most responsible.
Can I throw Tyreek into this conversation? Well, he didn't play in this game.
How dare you with your...
I mean, has
team leader.
Has this team recovered from Tyreek asking out of week 18 and saying, I'm not going to play, doing the same stuff that like has gotten multiple other NFL players basically banned from the league? And the Dolphins being like, that's just Tyreek, baby. It's fine, whatever. Like, the moment that happened, like, it feels like every report has just been like, what a mess it is there, how bad the culture is. And I understand, like, there's been other reports saying, hey, like, guys are missing meetings earlier in the run when they were winning, and winning is the best thing for any culture. But it just feels like there's no, like, backstop there. There's just nothing to fall back on there. And it feels like they sort of thought they would just scheme their way out of it or speed their way out of it, and they just don't have those dudes anymore.
Yeah, it does feel like, obviously, feel like people gonna have to put their little knickknacks in the box real soon over there, which is we walking out, security's gonna have to lead some people out. Maybe they make it a few more weeks, but this game I guess we knew that Mike McDaniel was on the hot seat this year, and this was going to be a kind of deciding year. Like, we were talking about that for him and Chris Greer. Sure. I didn't think that, and I would even say before this game, like Saturday morning, I didn't think that there's a chance that something could happen next week for this team. And then this game happened, and I was watching it, and the Browns, who are not a very good football team, they was out there funning.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than when a bad team is just having a good time, just laughing like the game's over for a half, it felt like. And they just out there just dancing and giggling, getting interceptions, and Quinshon Judkins is just running all over the place like that. And getting blown out is demoralizing, and a point that would make me, if I was in charge there, rethink whatever my plan was, because I don't know that it's going to get better.
You left the other part of it, Domonique. The fans, the Cleveland Brown fans, these season ticket holders who have signed up for this year, where your quarterbacks were going to be Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, and maybe, if you're particularly unlucky, Deshaun Watson, who was playing some of the worst football we've seen in NFL history last season. Those people were having fun watching the Dolphins. Oh my, the guy who has the jersey with like 28 quarterbacks on the back for the Browns, he was like, oh, thank God 2 is not on this list, number 29. He was having fun. The Browns are known as a species, as a franchise, for being miserable. And it was like a summer vacation for them against the Dolphins. That's how bad it was.
31-6. So yeah, I mean, obviously we're not going to go to the further step to suggest that anybody needs to be fired, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. And good for the Browns. They deserve to have fun too. That
nice draft class.
Yeah, pretty good draft class like that.
Mason Graham, Judkins, Schlesinger, Fannin, Dylan Gabriel. I'm sure I'm forgetting more.
Sure. It's so funny that they are back to where they were before they decided to guarantee a contract to Deshaun Watson.
Do you know he's just been going on TikTok and liking posts that are critical of the Cleveland coaching staff lately?
What?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I never understand that. Like, I don't know. Just generally social media behavior, and I guess we'll wrap it up on this one. I can see something on social media and actually like it, but that don't mean I have to like it. I see so many of my friends with hearts under things that I'm like, you should be ashamed.
Dude.
What are you doing? I like it too. Or maybe I don't like it, but you don't need everybody to know you like it.
I have a friend.
You got kids.
I have a friend who, no matter, you could probably go through the entire dossier of like every single OnlyFans model, and if you go to click on their page, it's followed by blank. I won't say the name on this.
So not me.
I'm like, what is wrong with you, man?
Don't insinuate that with me on the show. Make it clear, Charlie.
Following is bad too, but that's a decision that you're making is fine. But I just don't understand.
And I got to be clear, it's not Pablo. Also,
that was my guess. So
no one believes you. On that note,
by the way, it looks like the 49ers. We've been taping this during the 49ers-Falcons game. 49ers up 20-10 with under 2 minutes left.
Damn,
that's a very helpful,
congrats, 49ers.
Helpful mid-game recap for people who watch and listen to this on Monday.
That's exactly right.
Well, Scorebug got a scorebug. You thought the scorebug wasn't going to score?
Christian McCaffrey's got 186 yards in this game. He's in his bag.
I almost believed in the Falcons after that win last week. Thank you, 49ers. Injury-riddled 49ers for reminding me.
I tried to do a topic on the show on Thursday. Like, should we talk about this Falcons defense? And one of our producers was like, no.
Don't fall Guys, good news. Atlanta Falcons next week at home against the Miami Dolphins. They will look much better next week than they do this week.
Perfect timing. Well, thank you, Bill, and your Miami Dolphins blue shirt. I don't know, you felt like it's the last time you were going to get a chance to wear it.
I'm going to burn it.
We enter fall.
I'm going to throw it in I'm going to break my TV and I'm going to throw it in the fire and say, they got to fire all these people. No, they shouldn't fire anyone. But Miami Dolphins are a mess.
All right, Bill. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Charlie Kravitz. Thanks to all the great producers. This has been the Domonique Foxworth Show, presented by Allstate. I love you, Paul Bill. We out.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.